Hello, everybody. It's Monday night. It is a holiday day, so I don't know how many people are hanging out around the YouTube verse tonight, but we're still gonna do some drawing. Anyway, I am Lynell Ingram. I am an artist with a background in design and illustration, and I do these twice weekly live streams working on different projects and things, and lately I've been kind of working through my mixed media sketchbook, trying different things, different types of subjects to draw and different types of medium to attack it with. So that's what we're doing today. Still, we are on my 7th session of working on filling up this little book. It is what about a 5x8 or something? 5x8 sketchbook. It's Strathmore mixed media, so it's like a heavy vellum pages. So it'll handle most mediums you can put on it. Words. So I've done oil, I've done gouache, ink, pencil, colored pencil. So trying a lot of different things and trying combining some things randomly and seeing what happens. This is like my experimental little book. Mary Beth, hello. Happy Labor Day. Nice warm day yet again. I have my Christmas winter mug. Let it snow. I'm channeling my desire for cooler weather, I think. Hot matcha tea. Just brewed it, so it's quite hot. So we'll let that cool down for a minute. Pardon me. Today I chose a I wanted to do a landscape, and I was looking at a lot of different landscape photos and, you know, pretty mountains and flowers and trees and lakes, and nothing was really interesting me very much. I wasn't getting excited about any of them. I mean, I should do a few not so exciting ones anyway, just to, like, you know, be doing things I don't normally do. But I thought, hey, what about like a city landscape? Because often there's interesting lights and things like that happening. So yeah, I stumbled upon this photo on Unsplash. Feel free to download it. It is a free download. Just credit to the photographer Benjamin Sow. It's great photograph, great lighting. Went kayaking today, pretty toasty. Oh, I went yesterday. It was actually great. Arrow said hello. I actually went kayaking yesterday, and I was a little worried because it's quite warm. But the heat index was not crazy, and there's a breeze, so I thought maybe over the water it'd be cool enough, and it actually ended up being perfect while being on the water. A little windy, which made it a little bit more challenging. I took my sister with, and she'd never been kayaking before, so for a first time dealing with that, like your boat's just getting pushed and you're working against that, it was probably a little bit more challenging. But after you can master that, you can probably do a nicer day fairly easy. So yes, we are doing a cityscape. If everyone's interested in drawing along or working on your own stuff, by all means. My 30 sunscreen didn't work. Oh no, it was windy today as well. At 30 proof, yeah. I know, it's yeah. I have to wear a lot of sunscreen. I am less pale than I normally would be. I've actually, the last few years, been outside a bit, but as somebody who was grown up goth, so to speak, I do not usually get a whole ton of sun. I have spent many years very pale. Perhaps it'll work to my advantage for my skin, maybe. I don't know. What is this? This is a number 2. Wait, this is an F pencil, I think. But it also says 2.5, and I don't know what that means. Chemi sealed. Lacquer. Okay, where's the pencil I usually use? Did I put it away like a crazy person? That's not it. Nope. Oh, oh, I found the colored pencil that I'd been missing. What is that it? There it is. Found it. Okay. My slightly darker pencil so that everyone can see what I'm doing. And you applied every hour. Oh, wow. I was only out in the water for an hour because they charge you by the hour. So we're like, yeah, 1 hour's good. But yeah, that would, I hope you're not Too hurting from the sun. That was no fun. Cold shower and lots of aloe, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know what else to recommend. Ice bath, perhaps. But yeah, like I said, I loved kayaking and being outside yesterday, but I'm ready for it to get cooler. It's I don't know how tiny your screen is. Let it snow mug. I broke out a Christmas mug just because it was nice and big for my matcha. So yeah, hopefully maybe the ice bath will help keep it from getting too terrible. Yeah, anyway, I'm using a straight edge to just get some basic lines started. Horizon line. I don't worry too much about like perfect, what do you call it? Perfectly straight, like perfect perspective and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, just to get some approximations that I can work off of. So, like, street line, the sidewalk, maybe about like that. Oh, you know who I've discovered this week? Was an artist, and I might be really behind. Maybe everybody already knows about this guy, but Jeremy Mann. I don't know if that's an artist that anybody else is like already onto. He does a lot of cityscapes. That's probably why I thought of doing this, but he also does a lot of figurative stuff. And I just randomly popped on to one of his videos this last weekend, and I just really got kind of enthralled by, like, he was talking about some of the things. He does have a YouTube channel, but it's not, it's like him doing interesting short films. His paintings and stuff are like a whole nother thing. I do recommend like checking it out. It's Jeremy Mann, Mann. But he was talking about, there was something on YouTube that was like a sketchbook thing. Yeah. Anyway, he was showing a sketchbook that he did. He's published some of his sketchbooks, and he was talking about like creativity and using like things not being precious. And he talked about different things that I really talk about a lot. And I was like, except he says it a million times better than I certainly do. And I'm like, man, yes, love it. I love everything he's saying. I really like his art. So I kind of was doing a bit of a deep dive on some of his stuff a little bit, maybe. But what really interested me about this guy was that he also he takes his own like reference photos, in the sense that he actually like even builds he builds like Polaroid cameras using old vintage lenses and things. I don't know, it's super cool. And it really got me thinking about like sourcing reference photos. Except as Jeremy, so it's probably a typo, but Jeremy Mann, yeah. His work is really cool. Very expressive. But the way that he does, but when the cameras he was showing was built into an old cigar box. And then he had another cigar box that he was using for like carrying around some of his stuff for like plein air painting. It was just like, I really enjoyed listening to him talk about things in his process and the way that he looks at it, and like about showing the trash, which is another thing that I talk about. And it was just really good. Oh, okay. There is a street light right in the center, just almost right in the center here. Yeah, I love the way that he works with his reference and finds it. And it's got me thinking about how I would really start to like to be able to be doing more in terms of finding like my own reference also. Because I don't I tend to use just photos. I don't I don't take a lot of my own reference photos. I guess I just don't feel like I have access to really great sources. But I should put more effort into that. I would like to put more effort into that for sure. So great. Yeah, doing something I'm definitely not normally doing with like streets and architecture and cars and stuff. But yeah, this is you know, as Arisette pointed out, the art lab. And try some things. Try doing some stuff. And start to kind of lose some of the lines here on this side. And I'm not that particular about having my lines be perfectly straight and even because that's just not my focus. Love the reference. Yeah, isn't it cool? I do like to look at, I do often look at Unsplash for a lot. And there's very, like, talented photographers that put work in there. Big week for you. Got your first YouTube video? You did! Oh my god! I'm glad to know that. We'll check it out. Congratulations, by the way. That's a big deal. Definitely something to celebrate. There is like an interesting building that goes up behind the light over here. Let me see. I don't want to get too tied up in the details of things, but yeah, more or less get some approximations. Jim, hello. Happy Labor Day. I have so many reference pics from working as a book designer. Trust me when I say it's not as great as it seems. Not as necessary is what I mean. Still feel stupid nervous, but here we are. Hey, it's awesome. It's a major achievement. You got to start somewhere. You just start and you do, and then all the fussy other things, eventually you'll get figured out. So you're halfway there. I mean, that's the big half. So definitely worth celebrating. Approximations. We're just gonna, I mean, it's gonna be maybe a little bit gestural by the time that I'm done with this. Just like I'm more interested in like the lighting. And there's all the things happening on the street, people standing, casting reflections. Let's see here. Where there's a lot of detail that, I mean, this is just the whatever I can get done during the stream, so I'm not going to worry too much about getting like super detailed and capturing every single thing, but just the kind of the essence of it. And my placement of things isn't perfect. I'm not too worried about it. Also, I'm really bad at drawing cars. I always have been. It's just a thing. That is the truth about me. Cars are not my thing. in the sense that I never cared enough to try to like get good at drawing them. Distance cars, a little fuzzier in the background. The lights start to get hazy back in the background. Everything just sort of becomes a mess of lines and lights. And without like blowing it up really large, so I'm looking at it on kind of a smallish screen. Not always entirely certain what exactly I'm looking at, so I'm just capturing the more or less of it. I think the thing that bothers me the most about my sketch at this point is the bus. Being that it is fairly close by, and I don't have a very accurate bus drawing. Just fidget with it a little bit more here. Okay. I think that will work for the amount of like detail and such that I'm looking for in this. There are some very shadowy figures just barely visible up in the forefront of things. I think there's like an arm. A leg. You can see a leg over here. I think we can omit the leg. I think that's safe. Okay. The cars are just stupid to draw in general. I guess it depends on what you enjoy and what you're into. I love architecture and cityscapes. They're much harder than people think, though. Getting perspective right is hard for me. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of lessons to be had on perspective drawing. I think that getting approximations right, what will really hurt you is if you are going for extremely crisp lines to be very exacting, but they're not going. If they don't line up then right, if there is a problem in your perspective then, if it's a highly rendered and very crisp lines, it's going to stand out more than if it's a more expression-y piece where you're just getting some like lines are about here, horizontal, or the horizon line, and the perspective point, vanishing point is like approximately here, and you kind of work around that, and then you get your like atmospheric perspective and things down in the lighting. And yeah, it's just like the more exact you get about anything with it, it'll make everything else feel like a mistake if there is a mistake. If that makes sense. And I think that's the same thing with people. Like if you're drawing faces, the more specific you try to get in your sketch or in your drawing or in your artwork, the more exact you try to be in your rendering. If it's very realism, if it's like extremely highly rendered, I think that's where people are really going to are more likely to notice mistakes, because if it's not super realistic, then it just kind of becomes like these stylistic choices. But if it's very realistic, then things that are slightly off will stand out more. So sometimes you just gotta like control what the point is of it. Like, if you really do try to get just very photographic, realistic renderings of things, then that's great too. And then you gotta pay more attention to the details. Okay, just cool enough to start drinking. All right. I mean, it looks like a college kid drew it, but whatever. I'm more interested in experimenting with painting of it than getting like a very perfect drawing, like kind of what I was saying. And I'm going to go into with oils again today. I did do one painting with oil in this little book so far, but I thought about maybe like acrylics or something, but I feel like this will feel good to be working a little bit wet on wet to get some of the reflections and things. So we're gonna try the thing. Could dry watercolor too. That could be interesting too. Agree, having the basic perspective fundamentals in place is important. Faces and heads. The rest can be whatever, but it still has to look logical. Yeah, as long as it fits the logic of your style and your work. I don't know if I'm gonna need much. Already got some yellow on my palette. What else do we need? Purples and blues. And I do think we're gonna need some black on here. We'll go with that. A little more paint on here. Try not to be so stingy with my paint as I was the last time I worked with it. Bring my palette over a little bit closer. It might be almost cool enough to have a window open in here tonight, except that I can still hear the cicadas, like just, they're so loud outside. Like if I open my window, that's all you guys are gonna hear is the drone of the cicadas. Nobody wants that, if you don't have to. Because on one hand, it's sort of like a pleasant white noise kind of thing happening, but on the other hand, it's just obnoxious and loud. It's just so loud. If it was in a distance and they weren't so exceptionally high decibeled, maybe it'd be kind of nice. I can remember sleeping out at my grandparents' places and either at the farm or my other grandmother lived in like a slightly smaller town than I grew up in. And in the summertime, you'd have the windows open and you hear like the crickets and things. And that was always very soothing. So this little paint tube that I have here, this is one when I got some of my dad's old art supplies and kind of sorted through things to see what was still good and what wasn't. There was a lot of these little tubes of oil paint, lots and lots and lots of them. And a lot of them were broken open or leaked or whatever, and I threw away, but there were some that are all right. But you have to be really careful when you open them because sometimes the tube will just rip open because it's just old and it's been through some things. Let's see how this paint actually looks though it looks like it feels fine in the tube, but we're a little clogged up here. Let's see. Whoa, okay, there it is. Oh my, that was a lot. Release the pressure in there. It came. Might as well use them if they're still good. And when I say, like, this has got to be 60s era, probably, when my dad was doing some painting. So, you know, just because it's old doesn't necessarily mean it's not good anymore. But you gotta check for sure. Don't mean it's good either. All right. Let's see here. I kind of like the sound, and then after dark it cools down and you hear the katydids. Yeah, I like the katydids. They're soothing. I don't really hear them much here in the heart of the suburbs. I also like it when they go away and fall. So I will reuse as much as I possibly can. And it's twofold. It's like I hate to waste art supplies or really anything. I really, really hate wasting things that are still good. And, you know, I'm not, you know, everything's expensive, right? So work with things, you try to make stuff last and all that jazz. Like, I really love this store in Evanston called The Waste Shed, which is, it's like a resale thrift store for art supplies. So if you have old things, and it's crafts and arts, there's all kinds of stuff there, whatever it is, you can, and you're not going to use it anymore, you can donate it there, and they'll resell it. It's volunteer run. And it's like, it's super cool. I've gotten a lot of things there. I mean, every once in a while I've gotten a dud, but you don't spend much on it, so you don't feel that bad about it. Yeah, it's, I am fully endorse not wasting things. In fact, I have a, what do you call it? I have this old cutting board, and it's really big. And go figure, I bought it at a resale shop, and I was setting up this place, my home here, getting some of the things that I needed. And the store, it looked great. When I got home and like gave it a good washing, really scrubbed it up, and I was gonna, you know, do a little sanding and sealing, like give it some oil. I discovered that it had a pretty large crack in it, so it's really not usable. Cracks in wood cutting boards harbor all the bad things, and yeah, you don't put your food on there. But it's super big and super heavy, and I kind of used it to, like, I set some plants on it for a while, and it's just floated around. They're leaning up against the wall now because it's like, I guess maybe I have to throw it away. Then I'm like, dummy, gesso that bad boy, and we're gonna paint on it. Oh yeah, the Waste Shed's great. There's actually one in the city too. Where in the city? I don't remember exactly. But there's one that's like downtown, and there's the Evanston one. And when Nick Cave, who's an awesome artist that does like a lot of assemblage and found material stuff, he had a show at the Modern Art Museum in downtown Chicago this last summer, and he like built a lot of these costumes. It was super cool. He'd had all this leftover fabric, and my good friend makes things out of scraps of fabric. It's like these monster dolls. I've showed them on here before. I just adore them. Here's one that happens to be my favorite one that I've had for a very long time, but she makes little adorable monsters that are very colorful, and we often will take trips out there, and she'll look for what do you call it? Fabric. Oh my gosh. It's late, guys. I've had a weird day. Yeah. We go there, and she managed to get, they'd posted that they had it available. We got out there as soon as we could, and these huge bunches of the super fuzzy furry fabric in like bright orange. There were all these like kind of almost neon colors. It was great. It was very, very cool. I found some really good, wonderful stuff there sometimes. I've found some of my old, I once found some old Life magazines there. You can find, they have like collage materials randomly. So you just don't know what you're going to find. I've gotten nice big rolls of beautiful watercolor paper. I got some canvas. I mean, from time to time, it's just like going to any thrift store. You don't know what's going to be there, but it's usually worth it to stop. Stop in and see what it is, what they have. So I have no like particular technique or anything in mind as I'm doing this. I'm just going to kind of feel it through. we're just gonna start putting stuff down and see where it takes us. So I'm kind of starting with some of the darker like washes and areas, just fill, and then I'll go work back into it with the light bits. Yeah, going when it's not so hot or wildfire smoky is a good idea. Yeah, we've had some rough days for sure. The waste shed sounds so cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with that, with the chopping block. Yeah, me too. I don't know what exactly yet, but it's a nice big, it's a really big one. It's like a really great big surface. It's probably 22 by 30, not 36, maybe 22 by 32 or something like that. It's big. It's really, really great. And I have been meaning to do this for a while, so it'll get done eventually. All those intentions. Although, speaking of intentions to do things forever and ever, finally have started or gotten a significant amount done on building that dome slash arc light or whatever you want to call it. So excited about that. Just a few more details to kind of like work out about it, because I had some ideas of how some things would go. Wasn't super sure about everything, and so it's sort of like just seeing once I get the stuff that I have, like how it's working, how it's going to be, if it's going to be okay that way or not. So yeah, spent a bunch of time getting that started and taping, there's no tape involved, but video recording the process. So yeah, this should be interesting at the very least. I have the basic structure intact. The most confounding thing figuring out the details for that was where and how was I going to do like feet for it, because in the initial video that kind of spawned this project, the girl that made it, you just like taped it to her desk, and I'd rather not just tape it to my desk. But so I picked up a few, or I ordered a few very cheap like things that could work, and I would need to work on that. And then I also came up with this ridiculous idea of making it easy to move by having a place where like the two arches of the LED light will come together, and in the middle it'll meet, but it will be like something that can turn. So if I wanted to pick it up and move it, I could do that and like pull it together and flatten it, so it'd be easier to like move or carry someplace else. So some thought processes along those lines. Just working out those details, figuring it out. But yeah, the intention is to definitely get it done this week. I had thought maybe this weekend, but not quite yet. But I did work on it. Was it Friday? Either Thursday? No, Thursday night maybe. I think I spent a bunch of time working on it. I had a lot of help. My cat was very, very concerned and involved in the whole thing. I get a lot of help around here. And sometimes it's semi-destructive, but it is also adorable help. All right. So I'm going to start finding some color in all of this. I love just how much color there is in everything on here, on this picture. I'm trying to get up my courage to just go live. Light Dome for me gonna come later. But if my channel works, it's something I'm definitely doing. Heck yes! I think that's wonderful. I love it. And it probably will feel awkward a little bit for a while once you get started and you get used to it, but that will pass. You'll get accustomed to talking kind of to yourself at first. And if you are somebody that talks to yourself a little bit, then it's much easier to get going with it in the very beginning. That helped me, I think. Just start saying out loud everything the things that are in my head, which is scary for probably most people who come around, but we're the brave souls that manage it. I appreciate you. I talk to myself all the time. Well, there you go. Yeah, there is almost certainly a decent amount of like post work on this photo to make the colors really pop. But that's, you know, that's the kind of thing as a photographer or as an artist, you make those decisions. You get your reference or your subject matter, and then you figure out what you want it to say, and you find the way to do that. That's what makes it your art versus just a copy of something. But I do have my paper pinned down. Last time I was painting in the book, I did not have the my little handy clip in the corner, and I was having the paper move quite a bit, which was a little frustrating, but I'm also really good at ignoring those things and being like, it's fine, it's all fine. No problems here. Put me in, coach. I got it. I will fully acknowledge this looks like very much a mess at the moment. Here's something I really need to look up and figure out. Is disposing of old turpentine paint from painting, like where the best place to do that is. That is something that I definitely need to look into very soon. Simply something I just haven't had to worry about yet. It's been something that I know I need to deal with because it's just, yeah, if you're working with oils, you're going to have some of this stuff to dispose of at some point. So finding a good way to do that responsibly definitely would be ideal. Oh, lots of nice... I'm just kind of working in a very random way, I guess maybe it looks like. That is a little bit how things make sense to me. I'm not good at following a real close plan because then I catch something out of the corner of my eye and I'm like, oh, I need to address that right this moment. Immediately this moment. And I go down the little random tracks of this is the thing that must happen right now. And so best laid plans and attempts at plans rarely ever actually pan out. I'm getting better at remembering to like maneuver my brush around my microphone. Oh, Lord. Random things. I think it's probably helpful, and I'm just thinking out loud, to like really use the brush and the strokes from the brush to your advantage on this. Do those lights separately. Organized chaos. Except not that organized. Ooh, the one thing that I did this week that was super amazing, and why did I put it off for so long? Well, I know why. If any of you watched the video where I am working on reorganizing my studio, and I kind of show for a moment my very scary closet, I finally tackled the closet. I finally went and did it. And it was not nearly as bad as I built it up in my head that it was going to be. And holy cow. So much more. It's like I can open the door without having to push everything back in to try to close it again. That is not the good way to have things. Yeah. It's been something. Varying levels of chaos. But yeah, it's really nice. Like, oh cow, there's so much more room in there. I could do better in terms of the actual layout of some things. Like I could use some like bins, organizing bins and things along those lines probably. But just working with what I have and getting things put together. I did find quite a lot of stuff to go into the trash. I did find quite a lot of things to be donated. So yeah, it's good. It's good that these things are moving along. Now I only need to hit every single other closet in my house. Because I'd assumed it was going to take me a couple days to really get it to where I wanted to get it, but truthfully it was like a couple days and I had it there basically. So that was amazing. Not a couple days, a couple hours. thinking and painting at the same time is dangerous for your health if you're me. Yeah. Having things fall directly into my paint palette, that's always a good start. Nice going on the closet from hell. It truly was. It was nuts. And then what I started to realize was I'd open the door and there was a wall of stuff, but where the paintings are hanging on the wall right behind me here, behind that is like the closet goes back and around. Back in there was actually a lot of like unused space. So it was so chaotic and insane that I really had to undo it. It was, I'd redo everything, pull almost everything out. And I just have like really crappy shelves in there, like super cheap stuff. So it would certainly help if I was working with things that were a little higher quality. It would make a difference, of course. But yeah, I mean, again, you work with what you have when you have to, so it's fine. For now, all of that is totally fine. Gob of paint here. All right. I'm doing things a little backwards. I'll admit that. I'm just sort of following it around and make sure it pulls together before the end of the project. And I realize that it must look like I'm insane and don't know what I'm doing. But this is a part of my learning process, is just by kind of jumping in and just doing things. This is how I figure it out for myself. And while it might look ridiculous, I would absolutely encourage everybody to do the exact same thing. Just jump in when you have something you want to mess around with and play with. And sometimes doing it wrong comes up with something brilliant too. That can definitely happen. You didn't clip your book. Got yellow watercolor all over your water scene. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, now that's one of those things you just can't predict happening. Oh, for your turpentine, you put yours in a jar, let that junk settle, gently pour off the top, reuse until it's no longer clean. Soak it up in rags. The rags are watered. Throw them out. I do have Master Soap. I do use Master Soap. That's one of my go-tos. Big fan of that stuff. My book titled Don't Throw It Out says to let the particles settle, pour off the clear solvent into the container and reuse. Shelf life indefinite. Yeah, I have heard. I think my concern is like how to safely dispose of the gunk that you need to get rid of, because it feels like it's like one of those materials like house paint and things where it's like you're supposed probably has some kind of standard that to follow for disposing of. And I'm sure that I just need to Google it. Because it's like I'm just sort of like thinking out loud. It's like walking around and being like, oh, I wonder how all these things work. And it's like, if only I had access to a very small computer that I could carry around with me everywhere that could tell me this information. I have these moments often. Like, yeah, well, you know, I wonder that. I guess I could just, you know, Google it. Crazy. Crazy thoughts. Absolutely madness. Complete and utter madness. But that's a joke that I make a lot about, you know. Oh, I wonder about this. Well, Lynell, you can look it up if you really wonder. Where's the fun in that? Every now and again I do, and I will look up the most random things, and it's kind of amusing and fun that way. Because it's always something ridiculous that I want to look up. Like, I love the etymology of like phrases and stuff. I'm like, where did that phrase come from? When did that start? Just go down so many rabbit holes. So many. But that's the fun stuff. You never know what you're going to learn from day to day. If you just ask really random questions. Okay. What I need to do is start laying in some washes of the lighter colors in areas where it's more complicated. Olagel or Gamblin's gel. Okay. Some paint you can let it harden and then put in the trash. Okay. But it has to, but if it has cadmium pigments, maybe don't. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. I do just need, I need to look up like standards, local standards for disposing of these things and just make sure that I'm in good shape to follow whatever rules exist. Because certainly, you know, I definitely care about the environment and stuff. I don't want to be doing things that are damaging. I don't ever want to be. I try to do my best to recycle and use things that are still usable, get rid of things in the proper way. And it can be very overwhelming sometimes to try to keep up with all of that. And it's very frustrating when you know that there's so much onus of that sort of thing put on consumers so that the, companies that do bad can pretend that they did the responsible thing by just informing us that we should recycle their products, even though maybe you can't actually, or that's not something that's available to where you happen to be or anything along those lines. Anyway, that's my my soapbox session for this stream. Sorry. Yeah. That's a little messy. Okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. We're just gonna paint that line in, and then I'm gonna add in the lines separately. I totally have a plan. It's fine, guys. Don't worry. It's totally fine. Don't you worry. On another topic, I acquired another vintage sewing machine. This makes number 4. Guess what model? Oh my gosh. Oh God, I don't even know. I don't know them well. The one I have is a genome. I know there's singers and I know that there's brothers. Is it like one of the really old, heavy ones that's like, they're often black and can fold into attach to those tables where they fold in? I remember my mom used to have one of those. It was pretty cool. Although it's funny, like talking about trying to be relatively earth-friendly. We put on a random movie from Shudder yesterday, and it was this French movie from 2018, and what was the name of it? Can't remember, but it was one of their newer editions. And it was like, it started out this guy substituting these weird kids and something's not right and this mystery about it, but then it starts to become this really very on the nose thing about environmentalism. Like literally sections where the movie is just showing you stock footage of oil spills and stuff like that, and it's like is this some movie still? Just very, very random. Didn't finish it because it just got like so heavy into that, and it's like I agree that all these things are problematic, but it just wasn't really like a movie. And I've seen all that stock footage, like in the world already, so you're not telling me anything I don't know or giving me like a great perspective on it. So I don't know, it was just random and interesting. Was it you I suggested Dark Water to? Oh yeah, I've seen Dark Water. Long time ago. I think I saw it when it was in the theater or shortly after. Maybe rented it on VHS. A singer, but not the heavy one, a portable. Okay, that's very cool. Yeah, they can be super heavy. Did you get it at a good price? Oh yeah, the sewing machine. Sometimes people give those things away, so you always, hopefully you got it really great. It's like pianos. Pianos are crazy expensive, but usually there's so often people that are just don't know how to get rid of old ones, so they'll end up just giving them away. Okay. Looking a little sloppy, but we're starting to at least look like something. There are toxic stations to drop, just need to find them. Yeah, there should be several. There should be several around me, I would think. Just by the location. And I know sometimes like the communities do like the community recycling days where it's not just like recycling your normal stuff, cans and stuff, but they'll accept like old electronics and stuff for free. I know they'll do like old prescriptions. And one time, and I have seen for like household chemicals and things too, like that. Like I also have this old expired, what do you call it? Fire extinguisher, like a kitchen one, because they don't last forever. And I luckily haven't had a kitchen fire to use it on, but I still have it. And I think I need to call ahead to the fire department and take it in there to get rid of it. Like you can do that to dispose of it. It's like, oh, that's a lot of effort, man. So it just lives in my kitchen under the counter, taking up space, or actually it's like on the side of the fridge maybe, but it's just, that's just more effort than I have the energy to put into something at the moment. Excess things. Like, it shouldn't be so difficult. If I had storage or space, I'd collect again. I had a collection of vintage typewriters in a past life. Oh, nice. Also a huge collection of old vintage books. Oh my gosh, awesome. I miss those collections. Yes, like recycling. It was such a good price that it was a steal. Oh, it was a steal. Nice. I doubled the asking price and it was still a bargain. Oh my gosh. And you have your mom's Singer. Oh my, yeah, those are cool. Those really old ones that are in the tables. I think the worst thing about them is like it can be expensive for getting them up and running and repaired. Which is always a little frustrating when it comes to those things. But like I ended up taking childhood piano from my parents' house when my mom was downsizing, and I need to get it tuned. And when they moved it here, which is a big deal to get the piano moved, I think that's why some people just give them away. Like the movers, one of the pedals broke off, so it needs to be repaired. And we just like, it's on the to-do list. It's one of the many, many things on the to-do list. We just haven't done it yet. I kind of also feel like I can't really play the piano because I live in a condo and it's like, you know, sound is decent in terms of like what you hear from unit to unit, but not perfect. And pianos are kind of loud, man. So I just, I'm hesitant to be in a big hurry about getting it up and properly running too, I guess. Oh, I start painting one thing and then I get distracted by another. This is why I can't have a plan. Sorry, I think I'm getting quiet because I'm trying to concentrate on it. Apologize, I'm not being so good at keeping up. I also have a 1960 PAF. It's like a tank. I need to find a repair person. Oh my, yeah. There is a place not far from me. I think it's Mount Prospect. There's like a huge sewing shop there where I think they do a lot of repairs and that sort of thing there too. So if you're looking for somebody, that might be a good place to start. If you're looking to do it in the relative near future. Now everything's built to just no longer work after a certain point, and that's quite frustrating. Planned obsolescence and stuff when it comes to tech, anyway. I was trying to get a piece of old equipment to work for my partner, and it's to go into a computer. Turns out that the company that made it stopped issuing new drivers for it 3 years after they manufactured it. So that's pretty messed up. That seems like just not the best business practice. I don't know. So we can't make it work anymore. And I know technology just changes and stuff, but 3 years is not a long enough time to stop supporting product that you made. In my humble opinion. Back when they made shit to actually last, yeah. Remember to smash that like. Yep. All the things. Thanks, guys. I never remember to say those things. I'm very terrible at that. I don't know. There's that, I think, just external or eternal, maybe, discomfort at, like, pushing yourself, you know, marketing yourself. It always feels false. It feels cheap, even though it shouldn't. Like, I'm speaking from my own perspective, where I'm more than willing to go ahead and, like, get on everybody I know about doing a better job of those things, where I turn around and do the worst of it all. I'm the worst. So it is something that just I guess always working at getting better about. It's tough. Seems like it shouldn't be so difficult, but that's just, I guess, you know, a little bit human nature, a little bit of, like, your, you know, stereotypical artist being all self-doubting. Nope. Still have to paint on the bus itself. Haven't even done that yet. All right. I think I need to switch to a smaller brush pretty soon here. There's some random YouTube channel that we stumbled upon today and kind of got sucked down the rabbit hole on, and it's like this guy who's a mentalist, and he is like breaking down like especially big public trials. And I really am somebody who just, like, I have a hard time caring about what's going on in celebrities' lives. I'm just not interested, but it's interesting to listen to this guy because he talks about it in a way that is like the psychology of understanding how people respond to things. It's a little bit body language stuff, kind of, and just a lot of different little elements that kind of add up to trying to understand what's going on in a person's mind. And I found it pretty fascinating. I love psychology. I love to read books about psychology and articles on new things that we're understanding about the brain and behavior. It's all very that sort of stuff is super fascinating to me. I really enjoy it. People are weird and our brains are weird. Why we do the things that we do, it's very weird and fascinating to me. You talking explore with us? Oh, I think it's called the behavior something. Behavior is the word in the title. That's the best I can give you at the moment. Oh, and police interrogations. Yeah, like the mentalist that that contributes to helping to he mentions that in context of like interrogations quite a bit. Fascinating stuff. Like, I'm generally not very interested either in like I know true crime is very popular these days. Podcasts and the stories and documentaries. And I tend to just like straight horror stuff because it's not real world. And people are awful and horrible and do terrible things, but I'd rather see like a fantastical story with somebody's vision and some storytelling and different ideas along those lines than hear about all the really horrible things that people do to each other that it feels like we're so surrounded by all the time anyway. And tends to be very disheartening. Keep putting off doing this bus. Let me just do some paint on this stupid bus. That's a good sign. Made in Germany. They have kept their standards up. Tools like Knipex and Festool are well known. The buy once, cry once kind. Yeah, that investment that hurts up front, but you're not going to need to worry about it. I think what's really frustrating is when you buy something that's like not cheap and it doesn't last. Like, I've lived in my place for almost 12 years and I've had to replace the dishwasher twice in that time. And that makes me very angry. I don't think that should be the case. I don't think I should have had to have done that twice. But the quality, just getting bad quality things, apparently. Very, 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 very frustrating. A lot of money. Okay. It's sort of starting to look like sort of a thing. Sort of a thing is what I'm going for after all. Let's see. To mark some of these windows a little bit. And very far from realistic, but kind of letting this be. Letting it be like. I'm experimenting with trying to be more expressionistic a little bit in this painting than I normally am with my work. That's something that I have been trying to get myself to play around with more, and like finding the balance of something being rendered versus something being suggested. So yeah, sometimes it just takes 1 or 2 brush strokes to get a thing. Sometimes it takes more than that. Let's see here. That's a little darker than I wanted. Does anybody have any fun art things going on this week or projects that you're working on now? I'm hoping to finish up some of the many started paintings that I have in the house here. I keep saying I'm going to paint this bus, and then I start doing other things. This is why nothing gets done around my house either, because distractions, always getting caught up in other things. So for the reveal, my new to me machine is a Singer 221 featherweight. I dated it to 1936. Oh, nice. And it runs. It came with a case and accessories too. The fact that it like is working order is really cool. Still doing heads here, but I think I've got a handle on the nose, and now it's lips. Hey, just keep moving your way around them till you get the things where you want them to be. Yeah, that's super cool. Do you have any thoughts on what you'll like work on with your sewing machine? Like any particular projects that it seems particularly suited for, or just more collectible, maybe? The Makerspace gave me their etching press. Oh yeah, you were talking about that. I mentioned it on Thursday's live stream, so I better get my work area in order. Yeah. I need space for that guy, but... And then ironically, I was watching, was it later that day or the next day? One of the Great Art Explained videos, one about Goya. When they talk a lot about his like black paintings, but they go a lot into like his etchings and such too, which are really crazy at the time. Really very cool. Very interesting. Fascinating story there. Goya was definitely one of the very interesting artists. And I really do love that YouTube channel. I enjoy that one a lot. Yep, I have a 1950 chamber stove. Never had it repaired. My GE built an over 10-year warranty. It has a new thermostat now and needs a new motherboard. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. It's very irritating. I don't want to have to be replacing stuff all the time. When we had to, our unit has 2 wall ACs, not window ACs, wall ACs. So there's only a few that you can even get to put in here. And when the 2, both within a couple of years of each other, died, of course, and the repairman came, they said that they were the original ones to the building, which means, well, not repairmen, we had to replace them. They were from, this building was built in 1966, so they were original 1966 wall air conditioners, which is nuts. And when they were installing the new one of the guys was like telling us how, oh yeah, you can expect to get about like 4 or 5 years out of this. I'm like, you best be kidding me, because no. No. 4 or 5 years out of an air conditioner in the wall. Come on now. Last one lasted 60? Oh my gosh, I was so mad. That makes me so angry. Not okay. Not okay, man. Not okay. So, I mean, so far so good. I haven't had to do anything about them yet, but I'm going to be really mad when that day comes. I would love to check out both channels, Jim and Airset. Absolutely, me too. You have linen for making shirts. I ordered a pattern. Oh, awesome. That's gonna be cool. I love it. I tried to sew a shirt earlier this summer and it was really, I have a lot of respect for anyone who does that. Plein air tomorrow, going to be hot. Yeah, another hot day. A couple more, and then we're going to be down in the 70s, and I am so ready and happy for that. Let me grab my wintry let it snow mug again one more time. I don't know how to link my channel here. I don't use this account as your YouTube channel. Okay, one thing could do, possibly, is just sign, like, you can do it after, like, this stream is over, but just sign into your channel and then come back to this video and, like, leave a comment as that from that account, and then we'll just look for that and follow you. Follow it back to your channel and check out your video. If you don't mind. I mean, that's if you're cool with it. I definitely want to see. We are just a little supportive community here. I definitely want to see it. Bernadette Banner has video hand sewing in an 18th century style poet shirt. Oh my, that's what I want to make, but using my machine for most of the seams. That's amazing. Did she do a pirate shirt by hand? Awesome. I guess I could try and link it in this account profile description. Yeah, like in just, like, maybe not the chat, but the comments? Or... I think? Yeah, or you just, like, tell us that, and we'll figure that part out that way. Yay, technology. It's the Mindful Artist, and the logo is S77. Okay. We'll check that out. The pirate shirt, puppy shirt, but the title of the video says poets. Well, I think isn't that what people call them? Especially like 90s era, like when it was kind of adopted as part of like the goth culture. I think people referred to it as a poet shirt. Quite a bit. I think that I do, if I recall correctly. That might have been a thing. Oh yeah, and Seinfeld. I think didn't they call it a poet shirt on Seinfeld when there was like a whole episode about that back in the day? I could be wrong. I didn't really watch that show particularly, but aware of it. That's me in pop culture. I'm aware it exists. Always been a little bit like that. I get, people talk to me about the things that are happening with pop culture artists and stuff, and I just respond with a blank stare while I try to connect the dots in my head of what they're talking about. Story of my life. Sometimes it's nice to live under a rock when it comes to certain subjects. I'm definitely losing the cars over here. I need to add those, and then I gotta get some of the lights more specifically painted in, especially on the bus. Puppy. Sorry, my dog's name is Puppy. I'm obligated to reply when somebody says it. Does your dog pop up and like say, hey, you talking about me? That's what my cat does. No, I haven't uploaded any video. It has crossed my mind. That would be cool. I think, and you know, people love to see. I mean, same thing I'm doing here. I love to see what other people are creating too, especially, I mean, as I get to know you guys a bit, I definitely a bit more. I want to know what you're doing and see stuff too. I love it. I just love seeing what other people are making. It's so inspiring. She does one. Bernadette did. Okay. Bernadette also did a follow-up video of a Regency-style shirt in black linen called the Mr. Darcy shirt. She does wonderful work. I learned some great stuff from her. The Seinfeld episode called it the puffy shirt. Okay, Jerry went on Good Morning America wearing it and had a lace cravat. The whole works. Wow. Puffy shirt. I thought it was poet shirt. I'm often wrong. I think that I just remember the 90s goth element of it being called that. Shout out to high school Lynell right there. I will name my featherweight Bernadette in her honor. Nice. I can appreciate that. If you saw my dog, you'd understand why her name is Puffy. Aw. I really should be switching to a smaller brush about now. Or probably should have done it like 15 minutes ago. If we're being honest. I'm loving how this painting is coming out. Oh, thank you. I think you've hit the mid-tones in the darker areas perfectly. Oh, I appreciate that. Just gotta get all their stuff a little better. Let's start putting in where some of the lights are. Just the base layer of them, because I need a much brighter little light fray happening. Don't have Yeah, I definitely need to get some of the brighter elements of the glowing lights. You gotta kind of love how in the cities, looking down those long roads, and you can see all the different stoplights just going on and on and on forever. Okay. It's so messy. Okay. I'm definitely struggling with like finding the right balance of just like brush stroke and detail. Not quite there yet. I did spend a little bit of time last week working on my Frida painting, which you can kind of see behind me in the very corner there. I'd worked on that live, and I kind of wanted to go back in and get do a better job with some of the rendering, you know, with the skin tones and some of the light and darks in the background. So I spent some time working on that this last weekend too. This last week. Well, no, I guess I don't know, Saturday. All the days kind of blend together after a while. Yeah, I'm starting to be pretty happy with it, which is a nice feeling when things actually start to work out. And I think I was working at trying to create a decent balance on that one, which I think is easier to do, maybe working larger, of having things be very loose in areas and tighter in other areas. One thing is I worked on this one too from like dark to light. And I've heard that be like something that people recommend doing. And I have such a familiarity with working with watercolor, which is always which is the opposite. Like you work up to your darks. And I think I have a hard time switching my mindset in those areas to do it differently than what I am like kind of accustomed to. So perhaps the question is, do I need to really change that? I don't know. I just need to do more experimenting. So yeah, that's the thing about learning a new media that works very differently than the media you're accustomed to. It's finding those and getting used to the commonalities and the differences. It doesn't really work too well to like try to force a different medium into the same box of what you're accustomed to. It's not necessarily the best approach. I'm probably more familiar with the idea of working much larger. Like if I'm trying to be very loose, I'm certainly more comfortable with doing it that way, but that's the idea. Just experiment. But I get why it's a whole art form for people to do, like cityscapes. And people really master the reflective lights and architectural forms and geometry of it. So, definitely... This is definitely a mess. Oops, that's me hitting the microphone again, sorry. I'm bad enough at spatial awareness of like my own physical self, much less adding in a really long brush handle to the situation. Then you know things are gonna get weird. Yeah, my Turpenoid is getting very grungy. I definitely need to be considering changing that fairly soon. It's tricky. And it's interesting how with so many lights, it's still so like there's direct reflections on the surfaces, but there's so much that isn't being lit. Although living someplace where I'm about 20 miles away from the downtown of Chicago. And one of the things that really surprised me living here, because our windows face that direction, is how not dark it gets at night. Like, it just doesn't, it's just not, nights just aren't dark. Like, the darkest it gets is I can still see across the street just fine, even without any street lights nearby. It's a very interesting thing that took some getting used to. But, I mean, there's going to be more light pollution everywhere, so it's not just here. And it's very different than even where I grew up is very different than it had been at one point in time. I still do darks in watercolor when I realize it. Oops. Yeah, I mean, if you are really steady-handed and you know exactly what tone everything's going to be and you can get that tone at the first go, then that can work okay. It's a lot harder to, to go back from it is the only problem. They're the biggest issue, I think. In terms of using white gouache, like on this one, I wouldn't because it's oil. But when you are doing watercolor, you can go back in and use gouache to add back in highlights, but it has a very different quality to it. Like the colors of watercolor kind of have this inherent like luminescence, like the lightness of the paper coming through the color of the paint. And gouache can be great for adding like some pops here and there, but it will have like the characteristic of gouache is to be quite flat. So it can be it will definitely change the characteristic of a watercolor painting. So you just have to know that, and like, if that's fine, then that's fine. If it works for what you're doing, to have very flat white, even to mix with color and to bring back some washes, because then you're basically turning it into a gouache painting, and you might as well work with the strengths of the gouache instead of trying to force the gouache to be more watercolor-like, if that makes sense. Like I said, painting and thinking at the same time doesn't always go great for me, so if that didn't make sense, I understand. I kind of get it. I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm glad that my insanity makes sense to other people once in a while. It's not just me. Because from time to time, I know that the way that I describe things like makes sense in my head, but doesn't always like equate to a real logical statement to the outside world. So I'm aware of this, and I don't mind anybody like calling me out and saying, it wasn't quite clear, could you explain it differently? If it matters. It's just funny. Sometimes the brain just, it's its own thing. That's what's cool about it. I agree. Sort of. I think this light here is kind of bothering me. It feels too flat. Speaking of talking about luminescence and such, it feels very, very flat. And white paints have an interesting way of being able to do that, make things become kind of flat. I don't think my bus is very good. And it's such like a strong kind of element in the picture that that's sort of distracting to me. I'm not the best at straight lines, which can work to your advantage when you're trying to do something more expressionist, but also can be difficult to work with. The bus is great in my opinion. As you said, more expression than specifics, and the whole scene is more moody. Bus fits right in. Huh, I thank you for that. Alright. Trying to not hit the microphone. One thing that can help is like really controlling where the lightest lights are and the darkest darks are. I haven't quite made a huge amount of consideration about that as I've been going along with this guy. As much as it would probably warrant. And even just having like even though there are bright brights in the very distance in the photo, you can kind of decide how much of that you want to accentuate, but also just by the scale of them, they become a little less bright. More of them, but smaller, and in the distance, they kind of get much more hazy. Out of one of my blues here, my ultramarine blue, and I need just a bit more. That's something that I do that I should not do. I run out of a color on my palette, and instead of just go put the stupid paint on your palette, I'll try to just make do with what I have left. Yeah. No, don't do that. That is not the right way. And will only cause you problems. And it's like a little bit of this thing of not wanting to stop what you're doing. And it's a carryover from when I would work with acrylic all the time. That like fear of the paint that you put down on your palette being wasted. which is not something that is as big of a concern when you're working with oil paints because they don't dry out immediately on you as acrylics would, but it's just this bad habit, I think. As you said, more... Yeah, okay, I already read that. Sorry. Repeating myself because I get lost. Okay. Some of the things are bothering me a little less. That's a plus. You can always reuse your old paint. Seal it and scrape off all of it off to make great grays. Save it. You can freeze it. Oh, I usually, yeah, can maintain the palette for a while, usually until I am able to use it up most often. But yeah, I know I've heard of people putting them in the fridge or freezer to keep them going, which is pretty clever. Still, let's see, I still am a little not loving this part. Let's see. And the other thing is I'm definitely not quite there with the intensity of the pinks and the reflected red lights. That is not quite there yet. A lot to get used to with oils. I'm equally like fascinated and frustrated by them. And I find myself wondering at this point if I would like almost let it dry for a little while, a few days, and maybe go back in with some more of a fat mixture to get some of the really bright pinks and things to more sit on top of the color. That would be something that I could consider. I do have a magenta, a tube of magenta color, and that might be a better... might get me closer to what I'm trying to achieve with my bright pinks there. Like some of these should really be much, much brighter than I have them now. That's a little better. Still not quite luminous, but it's a little better. That's something that I think that, because I had the same kind of issue when I was trying to do the sky on the last time I did an oil painting with a bunny figure and the kind of sky sunset-y thing. And I was really struggling with trying to get the luminescence of the sky and the clouds, the light of the clouds coming through. And I never quite really got there with it. So that's something that maybe I just need to like kind of really focus on figuring out, is how to like create more luminescence with painting with oils. What am I missing? What have I not figured out yet? It's so easy to get like caught up in the details of what I'm working on when I'm sitting this, like literally this close to the picture. And then when I look up at the computer screen and I see it like much larger from inside my broadcasting software, it's like, yeah, there's some work to be done. Oh, and there's like a street light over here I completely ignoring. Because I don't know if anybody's actually like downloaded the picture or gone to the website to see it. It's a little bit longer than what I have on the screen. I had to cut off a bit of the top and the bottom. This is quite long, so there is like a full-on light up there. You could, that's a big thing I have to practice, having to step away to give my eyes a break and stop getting sucked into the detail. Yeah, I think that's one of the advantages to like working standing up, or having your work on an easel is it's very easy to just like, you know, rock back a little bit and be able to see better what you're doing. Because it is very easy to just get completely sucked in and get lost and lose track of things, and then when you do step back, you're like, ooh, is that what's happening here? That's not what I meant to be happening here. The struggle is real. Yeah, I do think that standing up and working with it like level to your face is about the best way you can do it to really get keep a good gauge on what's really going on. But yeah, having to actually remember to step back to take advantage of doing that is a whole nother thing. Well, if nothing else, I made a very pretty mess. There's Watson. Hi, Bubby. Coming to say hi? Hi. And now I am just really making a mess of things. Okay. That's black on there is only going to work if that is the same black I can pull out. A little bit over here. Yeah, did you come to say hi? Hi, Bubby. I gotta be careful petting him so I don't get oil paint on him of all things. But yeah, Watson says hi. Hi, little butt. Stop by. See what's happening. Nobody's gonna hire me anytime soon to paint buses or vehicles in general, I do believe. Safe to say. They would be wise. Well, I might have done about as much damage as I'm gonna do tonight on this guy. I might come back into it in a couple days when it's like really, really dry, and maybe try to bump up some of my light contrast, but yeah. I don't love it. There's things about it that I am okay with, but I definitely don't love it. And I really am sitting very close to this guy. Not doing myself any favors. I'm also trying to be like a lot looser in how I hold my brush, because I'm definitely one of the people that tends to hold my paintbrush the same way that I hold my my pencils. And my hands have been bothering me a lot lately. So I need to give myself a bit of a rest and start trying to not destroy my body while I'm also trying to make art, because it's kind of shocking how easy it is to do that. Hi! Oh my goodness. My back is not scratching post. Nor is my chair. Ugh. Watson is saying it's time to feed him. You know, if you squint your eyes at it, it's not too bad. And I think being still wet and catching a lot of light is not the greatest. I mean, hey, we like zoom out and then see. Better. Almost. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, once it dries and things start to get a little flatter in there, it might help a little bit, but I need to really focus on like getting the right textures with the brush stroke and getting luminescence with the paint. I think that those are areas that I would like to focus on going forward. And yeah, I am going to come back to this. I have been coming back to some of the different things that I've done in the sketchbook or on other areas and just sort of like, you know, tweaking it and seeing if I can really push it any further than maybe what I accomplished on stream. But and yeah, I definitely see some of the real sloppy things in terms of the drawing also, because I did it super fast. But that's fine. I'm not too concerned about that. But I think you've done awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you. That was very kind. Just trying things and seeing what happens. And yeah, the lights aren't light enough, but there's, yeah, like I said, there's some things I like about it. But by doing and by just throwing myself in there and being like, hey, let me try to just see what happens if I try to do this thing that I don't normally do. But then I can figure out what things that I'm disconnecting on that I know I would like to work further on. So, like, I wouldn't necessarily know that if I didn't just hop in here and decide to randomly try and paint a cityscape, which I've never done before. So there's advantages to just throwing yourself in the frying pan and seeing what happens. Not literally. Please don't take anything I say literally, almost ever. But yeah, in that sense, I am pleased. I am glad that I tried to do something a little out of my comfort zone again. Because every now and again, something really brilliant comes out of it, and then you just have to keep working at it and trying it more until it becomes a thing that maybe starts to be part of your creative language, which is always great, as you grow. But it's like a way to just force yourself to grow. Just do the things! We all have too many excuses. I know I struggle with a lot of excuses, and I've tried really hard to be... Sorry, that was my arm brushing against the mic. Everything with this mic, I'm so sorry. It's too easy to get caught up in the fears and nonsense. Part of the creative language, yeah. Heck yeah. Oh, I am being yelled at by the boss. And oh my gosh, have I really been at this for 2.5 hours? Yeah, that tracks. Right. Well, good a time as any to call it a night. Give the kitty a little bit of food and get myself cleaned up and in bed at a reasonable hour. So I hope everybody has an awesome week. Lots of creative projects and fun ideas and things and all the good stuff. And hopefully I'll see you guys on Thursday, 10 a.m. Central Time, US. All right, bye everybody. Have a great one. And Watson says bye too. He does.